Hello everyone, welcome back to OmniSkills Lab. In our previous video, we used the Excel tables feature with XLOOKUP to calculate income tax from tax slab table. This Excel table represented our data part of the calculation, which contained individual tax bands, or you can say tax slabs. However, the XLOOKUP part, this represented our logic part. The calculation worked perfectly, but the formula was very long. The formula was long. It was repetitive in nature, and it was not very professional. So, in today's video, we are going to fix all these shortcomings of the previous approach. Although it worked, but we are going to find a fix for that. In this video, I will show you how to use a let function to convert a complex calculation into a clean, readable, and professional model. Let's prepare our workspace for further calculation. Today, what are we going to do? We are going to use the let function, which will give us readable formulas. Okay, the let function will help us build readable formulas. Remember, in today's video, I'm not teaching an Excel trick, but this is how real financial models are written. So we will recap the logic from last video. We will start with the income. We will start with income. Okay. And then we will identify the tax bands. We will identify the tax bands using XLOOKUP. Okay. And after that, we will apply fixed tax plus a percentage on the excess. Excess multiplied by percentage rate. Look, the logic is very simple, but the problem is how we write it. This is where the let function comes in. Let allows us to name parts of a formula. Instead of repeating calculations again and again, we calculate once, give it a name, and reuse it. The structure of let is very simple. Let us write step by step. Here, first of all, I will show you a generic let structure. We write let like this, let. And the good thing is you can work with indentation, and you can also work it out by hitting Alt plus Enter and go to the next line. Alt plus Enter. And you can mimic the programming methodology. So we write let, and then we define a name 1, for example, and then we assign it a value 1, comma, and then you can hit Alt plus Enter and go to next line and define name 2 and assign it value 2, and so on until all the values, all the variables or names that you needed to define are defined. And after that, finally, we can write the calculation using these names, using the above names. Remember, nothing to follow here, nothing to copy. It is this one here. This is just a generic representation of if function. Think of it as writing a mini program inside Excel. Now, let's design a generic model by combining let plus XLOOKUP. Okay. Here, we again start with is equal to let okay. Let's refer back to our basic logic. Here is our basic logic. We have an input in the form of income. Okay. We then have text bands. We have to look up this income value within these text bands, and we have to arrive at current band in which the income lies. And after that, we have to apply this calculation and come up with the final text value. So let's define our variables according to the calculation. First of all, our first variable should be income. Okay. After that, we need a band start, because whenever we want to place our income in a text band, our reference point is the starting point of a text band. If you do not understand this logic, I suggest that you go and watch the previous video so that you can develop an understanding of how text bands work, what is fixed text, and what is an excess above the text band, the previous text band, and how to apply percentage rate. It's very basic. The whole formula, the logic, the calculation is written here. So our first variable, or more specifically, we can call it name, is income. In income, we can give a reference to the Excel cell in which our income is entered. Say, for example, we for our convenience, we write it A2. Okay. And our next variable or name should be band start. Okay. After that, we need another name, which is fixed text. And then we have to find out which rate is applicable. And then we need an excess amount, which is in excess of the end of the previous text band. And after that, we will move to final calculation. And let's close the parentheses. Now, you can see that each variable among the above variables does only one job. This is the difference between amateur formulas and professional models. Professional models are built from clear name logic, not long brackets. So now let's incorporate the XLOOKUP. Band start. Like we did in previous video, XLOOKUP. Remember, this is a generic form. I will just write the basic formula structure. Okay, basically in XLOOKUP, this is our lookup value. So normally we put the cell reference directly here. For example, we can directly write A2. But since we have defined a variable for the cell reference, so we will not be writing a cell reference directly. Instead, we will be referring to our defined variable here, income. Let me move screen a little bit. Okay, income. After that, if you can remember from our previous video, I will show you here. Here is our text slabs table. I have already named it as text slabs. So we will be using the same table. So text slabs, and we are interested in the basic lookup column is our from column from that table. We will go to Excel in a while and we will check that there. And then after that we have we have the same. So this is our band start. Okay, our lookup, this is our lookup array, and the same will be our return array. And remember, the logic will be the same. The return logic, the lookup, the match mode, which we give, excuse me, just to make a little bit space here. The match mode will always be -1. It is detailed and discussed in detail in the previous video. You can refer back to previous video and watch why we are using this -1. So we have written the XLOOKUP for band start, and you can see that we have used this variable. We directly referred to the text slabs table, and nothing in this formula is going to change. Okay, we write the XLOOKUP for fixed text column. XLOOKUP. Again, we will refer to the same income variable. We will use the same text slabs table. Our base lookup array is from column, and our return array here will be fixed column from the text slabs table. We will again use the -1 match mode because we want the exact match or the next smaller. Okay, now let's move to the fourth variable, which is rate. We will use XLOOKUP. Again, we will use the income variable. You can check that we are only using the cell reference here. And we are referring to the income variable. So this gives us an ease in our working. Again, our lookup array is text slabs table and from column. Okay. Here, our return array is the percentage column. We have to pick the correct rate. And again, the -1 match mode will be used. So this is all we had to do with XLOOKUP. Now, just a calculation for excess amount. As you can see that excess amount is the difference of, if you can remember from previous video, excess amount is the difference of income and band starting point. So you can see that we have already defined these two variables. This is income variable and this is band start variable right here. Check it out. This is our band start variable. And we simply are referring back to these variables. These variables already have the calculation contained inside them. The income has the income reference, and the band start here, the band start is using XLOOKUP to look up the correct text slab and compare it with the income. So, but if you can remember from previous video that the end of previous text band is equal to the starting point of the next text band with the difference of single currency unit. So we have to adjust that one. You simply add that one. Sorry, there are commas needed here. My mistake. Okay. After that, we move on to the final calculation. So remember, this calculation part, this is only for ease of this video. You will not write this. Instead, you will directly start your calculation after this comma. What is our calculation? Like I told you earlier, that this is our basic calculation formula here. This is our calculation formula. Fixed text plus excess multiplied by percentage. So we will simply write our formula. We already have a variable for fixed text. Here it is. Okay, let's write our formula. It is fixed tax right from here. Remember, there are no spaces. Plus, we have calculated the excess here. We use the excess variable, multiply by, we have picked the correct rate of tax with the help of this XLOOKUP. So we simply place the variables in places. Okay, there will be no comma here. So this is it. This is the generic structure of a let function where we combined three things. We used Excel table feature with XLOOKUP to calculate the correct income tax slabs and rates and final income tax calculation. But we further simplified it with the help of let function. We gave it a programming look, and this, you can see the whole structure. This structure gave us the benefit of readability, you can see that we can read the formula very easily. We can work out, we can go through all the individual variables, we can point out the errors in the formula, okay, and then we can finally refer to the final calculation logic. It's pretty simple. It's very English language type of formula. It increased the readability. It increased auditability. And more specifically, this is the way how financial models are written. Financial models are written. So we now will refer to Excel, and we will put to use this calculation. You can see that right here. Let me point it out. Here, this is the formula. This is the XLOOKUP logic from previous video. I have taken a screenshot of that, and for your convenience, I have put that image here so that you can side by side compare. You can view that how unclear or non-professional and long-looking formula that was. And now we will define our let function here. Let's start it. We use the same Excel table. We use the same logic. This is our formula logic. And here in this cell, we have the previous calculation. If you can see, here it is. Here's the previous formula. Now let's copy it and write our XLOOKUP here. No, sorry, XLOOKUP, the let function. Let me adjust the screen so that we have more working space. So for the ease of this calculation, I will drag this down a little bit. Okay, so in this cell, which I will color like pink, so that we can differentiate. Start writing XLOOKUP function with it is equal to let I'm hitting Control Enter and moving to the next line. Here, first of all, I will define a variable called income. Just the screen a little bit. Okay, is equal to let alt enter income, comma. So for income, I will refer back to the same taxable income cell, which is K2. Here in this case, I referred it. I gave the value of this cell reference to the income variable, comma. Then I move to next line. Now I define my band start variable using X. And now we will give it the value of XLOOKUP. XLOOKUP. And now the lookup value is this taxable income. But since I have defined a variable of income, which has a value of this cell reference, so instead of using this cell reference again and again in my XLOOKUP, I will simply use the income variable. You can see that Excel puts a small X sign with this income. Excel knows that this variable has been defined. So you can press tab and it will populate income. Our text slabs table is here. From text slabs table, we will use our base column, which is from. This is our lookup array. And now we will enter our return array. In band start, we want our return array is the same from column. So again, we will use this from column. And our match mode, remember, our match mode must be -1, bracket close. Okay, comma. Alt enter, and I moved to next line. Okay, again, the next variable we have is fixed text. We define it here, comma, and then I simply will copy this XLOOKUP, Control C, and I will paste it here. Okay, and the only thing that I need to change is in the previous for previous variable we needed the from column. For fixed text we need the fixed column. Okay, the pink color is not giving a good contrast. Let me wait, just wait. Let me remove this pink color. And now it's giving a good contrast to the formula. So now Alt enter. Now we define our third variable, which is fourth variable, sorry, which is rate and comma. And we use the same XLOOKUP. Copy it from here, paste it, and now from this Excel table, we first picked the from column from column for our band start, and then we picked the fixed column for our fixed text, and now we need this percentage column for our rate. Just a minute. Okay. So this is rate. We will simply change the return array to percentage. And this is done. Alt Enter, and you come to the next line. And now we have to define the fifth variable, which is excess amount. What is excess amount? Excess amount is the difference of income, the income variable, which is defined right here. Here is the income variable and the difference of band start. Look at this. It's showing the band start because it is already defined here. So tab, we have the band start. And if you remember, there is a difference of one currency unit between the ending of previous currency slab and the starting of current slab. So we have to adjust that one. Here it's done. The excess amount is calculated. And now we move to the final calculation. What is our final calculation? It is fixed tax. So we have already defined a variable which calculates, which keeps the fixed tax, relevant fixed tax amount for our this income label. So we apply, we write it and add it in the calculation of, and then we add it in the calculation of excess. We already have defined the excess variable here. Excess variable contains the difference of income minus band start here. And we simply multiply it with the relevant rate. What is our relevant rate? Here, the rate variable here is keeping the correct tax percentage for us to be applied here. Yeah, bracket close. If I put enter, there should not be any error. Yes, that's great. The formula is done without any errors. So let's adjust our screen and refer back. Now, if you zoom out, if you look at this part, the formula bar, the let function is showing simply like a small program. It's a small program. And if we compare the calculation, let's take a difference. This is the calculation done with the previous approach using simply XLOOKUP plus Excel table. And now this is the calculation done with the same approach using text table, Excel table and XLOOKUP, but simplifying it with the let function and making it more professional. So it is giving out the same text calculation. If you change the income level here, say for example, from 2.2 million, you write 2.4 million. Both of the calculations are doing the same thing. So the good thing is that you can simply, for example, like in previous video, I demonstrated a small payroll table. Let's write those names again. Name, income per annum, and tax per annum. Okay. Let's give it a small formatting. So if we write names, for example, person name A, another person name is B, and there's a third person named C. This one has an income of 1 million. Other person has income of 2 million, and the third person has income of 3 million. Okay, so now what you can do is simply copy this formula here and you simply paste it here. Sorry, paste it here. So now it is giving a reference error, which means that we have to correct the reference. So if it was the previous XLOOKUP formula, this one here, let me make it bigger. In this case, you had to manually change these references like these J4, 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 J4. You had to manually change the reference and then drag the formula down. So there were chances that errors could have been occurred, and that was not a professional way. But with the XLOOKUP formula here, sorry, with the let function, let me zoom it a bit for you. In X for let function here, you only need to change the reference once in this income variable, and you put a reference D4 here and hit enter. It's calculating the correct amount. And the good thing is that if you drag this formula down, this let function will, this variable will auto referenced according to the relevant row. You do not need to change the income variable for each line. You do it for one line and then you drag it down. For example, if you drag it up to another line and you put an income of 4 million for Mr. D, it will calculate the correct X amount. Okay, so this is the let function with XLOOKUP using the Excel tables. Income is defined once, the band start is looked up once, fixed text is looked once, the rate is looked up once. So, and finally, the total text is calculated using these named values. And look at this. Look at how readable this is. If text slabs changes next year, say for example, here is our text slab table. If these text slabs change next year, I do not touch this formula, this let function, this XLOOKUP. I do not touch this formula. I only update the table. And this is what makes the model evergreen. A common mistake is to use let function but still write unclear logic. The let function is not about making formulas longer. It is about making thinking clearer. To summarize, let function improves readability of the formulas. Let function improves auditability of the formulas, and the most of all, let improves professional quality in your work. If you work in finance, accounting, or tax, this is not optional anymore. In the next video, we will talk this one step further. We will convert this entire text model into a custom Excel function using lambda function, so text can be calculated with a single formula. Subscribe to Omni Skills Lab if you want to build real professional skills. Thank you.